Hi gorgeous, and a very happy Frugal Friday to you. If you are new to the channel and this is the first video you've seen from me, welcome. I make videos like this every Friday focusing on drugstore products, so please subscribe and you'll always be notified of new videos in the future. Today I'm testing out a whole bunch of new sponges that e.l.f. will be releasing for October. I'm not sure if these have been released yet or not, but they are scheduled to be released in the month of October. e.l.f. has said that they are releasing a new product every single day for October, so this will be a very interesting month, and if I get more products from them, I will absolutely include them in future Frugal Friday episodes. So the sponges I'm reviewing for you today are 2 silicone sponges and a highlighting sponge. I'll show you the full face application with each of these and I'll let you know, are they worth checking out or not? The foundation I'm using for this application today comes as no surprise. I'm using the CoverGirl Outlast 3-in-1 in the shade Ivory. I'll show you what the silicone blenders look like up close. You have a large one and a small one. They are very squishy, soft to the touch. Back of the package says you are supposed to use the larger one for areas of the face like the forehead and cheeks. Okay, my forehead is not that big, but we're gonna attempt to use it anyway. And then you want to use the smaller one for targeted application of concealers and around the nose and areas like that. So here we go. The directions say to apply half of your usual amount of product. So I am going to pump the foundation directly onto the sponge, just like they say. I'm not going to do a full pump, I'm going to do half a pump. Swipe product across face, then bounce to even out application. Okay, here we go. Swipe, 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 swipe. I guess you swipe it to blend it, and then bounce it to blend it. Oh! Then it says to use a blending brush to buff to a flawless finish. So I'm using the Makeup Geek Face Buffer brush, and I'm going to go over that. See if we can buff it in. You can see my lovely scratch. Courtesy of Jet. I own cats all my life practically. I never get scratched on the face. I have a baby and boom. Well, it's not completely terrible. It could be the foundation because last time I used the CoverGirl foundation with the silicone sponge, I had a very similar finish on the skin, which looks a little like it's sitting on top of the skin, even though this is a really good foundation and it doesn't look like that usually. So what I'm going to do is try it with a different foundation on this side to see if there's a difference. And that is another one of my favorites, the Rimmel 25-hour lasting finish. This one comes straight out of the bottle. It does not have a pump, so it's going to be a little harder to apply to the sponge. I'm going to try though. Ooh, too much, too much, too much. Go back in there. Okay, a little bit. I'm trying it on this side. Swipe first, and then bounce to blend. Gosh, it's way too much. I need to wipe this a little bit. You can hear it hitting my skin. It's a interesting sound. Can't help it though. I mean, that's the way it sounds. It kind of sticks to your skin when you go to pull it up. Little better application on this side as opposed to this side. I am going to take a buffing brush again and buff it in like the instructions say to do. Well, this side does look a lot better when you compare it to this side. So in this case, it was the foundation, not the sponge, and it did a pretty good job over here. I'm not gonna use this one for my forehead because, I mean, look, it's bigger than my forehead. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. So I'm going to move on to the smaller silicone sponge, and on the back they have a handle here that you can put your fingers through, so it is easier to hold. I don't know if that's going to make it easier to use or not. We'll find out. And the concealer I'm using is the Milani Retouch and Erase in the shade Fair. And just like with the bigger one, I'm going to take a little bit of this concealer and apply it directly onto the sponge like so. That's probably too much. That's a lot better. I dabbed it twice to get rid of the excess. And swiping and patting. Very soft. Soft? Soft. It's very soft. It's weird though when you're accustomed to feeling a sponge. I mean, it's not hard or anything, but it's just a different feeling underneath the eyes. Looks like it blended in pretty good. That's one eye with it applied, one eye without it applied, so you can see the difference between the two. It's different. I'll warn you now, if you're accustomed to using a makeup sponge, it's very different. I'm gonna take a little bit more of my foundation, the Rimmel 25 Hour, on that smaller sponge and do my forehead. Because if I don't show doing my forehead on camera, someone's going to flip out. Hold on to your panties. And then I'm gonna take a buffing brush and attempt to buff it on the forehead so it blends in a little better. Last sponge I have to test out for you is another new one from e.l.f. and this is their highlighting sponge. In the package, this looked like it was going to be very rough, but it's actually extremely soft, and the directions say that you can use it wet or dry for application. So I'm going to use it dry because I've already applied powder on my face, and the highlighter that I'm going to be using is e.l.f.'s Moonlight Pearls. By the way, with this highlighting sponge, you also get a silicone blender like the one that I used earlier. Not sure why they decided to pair these two together, but I guess it's in case you didn't want to have a big one like this in the first package. I've already wiped the surface of the highlighter to get rid of that shield that they put on so it doesn't shatter in transit. So I'm going to take the sponge and swipe it across the product to get it on the sponge, and then do the same on my face here, just lightly. Ooh, that's pretty. Look at how, hey. I don't like highlighter, but that is very pretty. We'll do the same on this other side. I'm only gonna do one swipe of it though, because I probably got too much on that side, but it's okay. And we're going to swipe again. All right, a little more subtle on this side compared to the first application. There you can see what I mean. A lot more subtle than the one over here. I'm not mad at it, but yeah. Final thoughts for you on these sponges. The face silicone sponge is one that I would probably not use again in the future, simply because I didn't like the final application with it, and I felt like there were too many steps to get the makeup to look decent on the face. First you have to swipe it, then blend it, and then use a buffing brush to blend it into the skin. Way too much work for me. I would rather stick with one of my usual makeup sponges. So that one is not one that I would use again in the future. I did like the smaller silicone sponge much better than the large face silicone sponge. So I would probably use that one again in the future. And the results were beautiful. I only had to swipe and pat and everything looked great after application. The highlighting sponge, love, absolutely love. Even though I'm not a fan of highlighter, I did like how much product the sponge picked up. And you saw with just 2 swipes of the product, you had a very intense application with it. And even if you use just 1 swipe of the product, a very subtle but noticeable difference on the face. So if you're looking for a new applicator for your highlighters that is affordable, this is one that I highly recommend that you check out. Let me know your thoughts on these sponges. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.